Joe Rogan just revealed who Epstein was sending torture videos to, and named every celebrity that was going to his island.
Welcome to The Explainer. We're all about digging into complex topics by looking right at the source material. And today, we are diving deep into a transcript that discusses the incredibly controversial Epstein files. You know, this quote from the source really says it all. It sets the stage for a story that is just so complex, so deeply tangled. So, all right, let's get into it. So right off the bat, the source zeroes in on this huge mystery, the incredibly slow, bit-by-bit release of these Epstein files. So according to the transcript we're looking at, we're talking about millions of documents here, and they supposedly contain names from, well, everywhere: entertainment, government, royalty, finance. The source makes a huge point about how this information has been handled. I mean, holding it for over a year, releasing it in drips and drabs despite promises? It's really no wonder it's fueled so much public distrust and raised some pretty serious questions about who exactly is being protected here. Okay, but what was the point of this whole network? Well, the source claims the entire operation was designed for a very specific and pretty sinister reason. The transcript lays out this theory. Think about it. If you're a powerful person and you have, let's say, some dark appetites, you can't just act on them anywhere. This island was supposedly set up to be the one place in the world they could go and not be exposed. It was basically a service, but a service with a catch, a way to trap and control some of the most influential people on the planet. And I mean, this account from an alleged victim, which is in the source material, it's just harrowing. It really paints a picture of the sheer desperation people felt being trapped there. The allegation is that once you arrived, your passport was taken, every single aspect of your life was completely controlled. And then the allegations take an even darker turn, if you can believe it. The suggestion is that there were these desperate measures to destroy evidence. The source points to the purchase of 330 gallons of industrial-strength acid and asks this really chilling question: what or who was Epstein trying to make disappear? All right, so now the source material starts getting into some very specific, very high-profile names that are supposedly in these files. So the transcript brings up a series of alleged emails between Epstein and this guy, Sultan Ahmed bin Salam. He's not just anyone. He's the CEO of Dubai's massive port operator. And this is the alleged text of an email sent to Epstein back in 2009. Now, at the time, the name was blacked out, but the source we're looking at claims that members of Congress later identified the sender as bin Sulayem. Then the source presents another alleged email, this one from bin Salam. And it's followed by this really disturbing back and forth where Epstein apparently replies 100% Russian or 100% female. If it were once a man and now describes women's private parts, what percentage is it? And bin Salam's alleged reply, 100% female. And what's really striking here is just how wide a net these alleged connections cast. I mean, look at this. You've got tech mogul Bill Gates, whose name is said to appear over 130 times. You have retail giant Les Wexner, the founder of Victoria's Secret, who allegedly gave Epstein power of attorney. And then you have the historic Rothschild banking family. It really spans the globe. Okay, so the next thing the source really dives into is this wild contrast between what some of these individuals said in public versus the evidence of what was allegedly happening in private. So here you have Howard Lutnick, and he's on camera giving this really passionate denial of any kind of relationship with Epstein. He describes going to Epstein's house, seeing a massage table, and just leaving, calling the guy gross and insisting it was a one and absolutely done situation. But then, right after that very public statement, the source presents this alleged email from Lutnick to Epstein. And it looks like he's planning a visit to the island. And not just with another couple, but with their entire families. We're talking about 8 children, supposedly ranging in age from 7 to 16. So this next point is absolutely crucial because it alleges influence at the very highest levels of government. The claim here is that while Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett was on live television questioning Michael Cohen, she was secretly texting with Jeffrey Epstein, who was supposedly feeding her questions in real time. Now, she later defended this, saying she was just getting information from a constituent. And finally, the source material follows the trail of this alleged network of influence right into the heart of the entertainment industry, into Hollywood. The transcript lays out what seems like a really chilling choice for artists. It puts Chris Tucker, who was photographed on Epstein's private plane, side by side with Dave Chappelle. The source alleges that when Chappelle refused to play along with the industry's hidden agendas, his huge contract, we're talking a massive amount of money, was just voided. And then a smear campaign was supposedly launched against him, labeling the devout Muslim a crackhead. But the source also highlights some resistance to this network's poll. It details this alleged attempt to recruit Joe Rogan. Apparently, Epstein used an intermediary, a physicist, to try and get an introduction, even dangling a dinner invitation with Woody Allen as bait. And Rogan just wasn't interested. He turned it down flat. And that really brings us to the key takeaway from this entire source material. The point it's making is that this wasn't just about one man's horrible crimes. It was about an alleged system, what the source actually calls a bizarre blackmail influence thing that was deeply embedded and had been active for an unbelievably long time, right through multiple administrations. And so, the source leaves us with this one last, pretty provocative question. Even with all these explosive revelations that have come out, is the full story of this network of power, influence, and abuse still hidden, just beneath the surface?